You are with the University of Karate, and we are again desiring to look into, examine, talk about, even reveal things concerning history, culture, science, principles of technique that come together and form what we understand as the martial arts. We're again here with Sensei Mike Biddle, and we're looking at a concept that's going to be, I believe, eye-opening or just stimulating to the mind. We want to think about some things as well as examine and talk about some things. And today's topic is called The Death of the Martial Arts, ? The death of the martial arts, ? When we say death of the martial arts, we're not saying completely or fully that we're talking about the death of martial arts here in this time that we're living in. But the fact that history of the world is very cyclic. You know, we've seen, if we study history, a lot of things that are happening now has happened before. A lot of things that we see now is happened many times before. And when we talk about the death of the martial arts, we want to give an opportunity for Sensei Biddle to talk to us a little bit about some of the process of how martial arts start to slide down until they basically die. The word martial arts comes from the term military or martial art. And when you have a martial art or a military art, that means that it is for and created in war. But when there's no war, what happens to the martial arts? And when there's no war, and you have peace, but there's still fighting going on and contention and danger from robbers, the martial arts in a abbreviated form might exist, but then when you have guns and advanced weapons and you don't have to train anymore, then what happens to the martial arts? Because even when it comes to self-defense, sidekicking a bullet is not the easiest thing to do. And then you get into the area of just having it as a sport or an exercise. And then what happens? We want to have Sensei Biddle kind of walk us down some of these thoughts and ask the question, pose the question to your minds, the death of the martial arts, ? Sensei Biddle, won't you jump in here?
Yeah, that's a interesting idea because, where is it going to be in 100 years? We've talked about how the fighting part of it, but let me give you a little. So let's go back and look in time where, if you look at the Roman Empire, they were a war nation. They were conquering the world, and they had soldiers and they had weapons and training methods, and they had very sophisticated training methods. It would surprise you if you do some history on what they actually did. They practiced with weighted swords. They did exercises. They wrestled. They grappled. They had some form of martial arts in of themselves because it came to that. If you were striking swords and somebody went down, you had to be able to wrestle them or kick them or punch them or whatever. But as time went by, and they had the gladiator games, in the arena where it was to the death, people died. It was horrific, but it was a way of expressing that, and these people were trained, and they were fighters, they were warriors. So as time went by, and that went away, and in all the different areas of the world, the war side of it started to move in a different direction. So then you have your warriors, but then you don't have anybody else. So the training side, the fitness side, the performance side sort of got lost. And I see that in the martial arts now, where we're obsessed with fighting, and all the discussions are, what am I going to do for the street? And John, how many fights have you seen in the last couple of years just break out of nowhere? None. I don't think I've seen I know this isn't for everybody, but it also depends where you're at. But I live in a pretty populous area, and I don't think I've seen a fist fight in 10 years or more, maybe. So is it happening? Yeah, what you see on YouTube is not an expression of reality. It's a condensed. People have cameras, and it gets 3 million views because somebody gets beat up. But the fighting isn't there. But we're obsessed with it, and that's okay. It's fine. But so the sport is evolving. The MMA, the kickboxing, the boxing, that's remnants of the gladiator days. Our football, American football, is a remnant of that. All the sports are remnants. All those are remnants. Throwing, kicking something, hitting something is all remnants of those ancient times, but now they're all sports. Now, if we're able to participate in that sport and you take up that sport and you're doing it, but in the martial arts side, it's easy to play baseball. It's not so hard to fight people. That sport, takes a very different skill set to get in a ring and get your face smashed. So the people that are doing that, awesome, great to them. And if you're training for that, then marvelous, more power to you. But that's the sport aspect. That's not the whole of the thing. And the martial arts is a system. It's a system of health, exercise, well-being, training. And I think if we lean as a society to the fighting aspect, we just end up with the sport. And everybody wakes up and goes, where did the martial arts go? Well, it wasn't necessary anymore because it wasn't effective. Well, yeah, you're right. Because it's not when you make it a sport. And now it's not effective because someone's going to stab you or shoot you. So why are you doing it? That's the question I really want to know. So let me answer my own question. Why am I doing it today at my age? Why am I still practicing the martial arts? Because in reality, am I going to get in a fight? No. Who picks on the old guy, for one? Now, if I got mugged, that's a different situation, but I don't put myself in those positions. So why am I not training the battle side? I'm not in the ring. I like the performance side. I like the health benefits. I like the things that my body can do, the way that it makes me feel when I'm practicing, when I'm working out. Just like lifting weights, just like running. All these activities were from the battlefield. All of them. Think about that. Everything we've ever done is from the battlefield. That battlefield may have been running from a lion or hunting a buffalo with a spear. We evolved from primitive circumstances, but it was all war. Then it was fighting amongst ourselves, tribes and different things, but it was all war. So we had to maintain the war part of it, but then suddenly it stopped because we got guns. And John and I were having a conversation over text about, we like to make things blow up or destroy things. It seems like our fascination of society. The Chinese developed these pretty fireworks, and we made them into guns. It's like, come on. Or we figure out how to split an atom and blow everything up. But that war is always a driving force, and that's the nature of humankind. But we're not part of that anymore as a population, as the normal group of people. And I know this is more of a philosophical question of the martial arts that we're talking about now, but our name is University of Karate, and that's what we do. If you don't like it, but I think there's enough to be interest to think about it. But we're not a society that we're warriors anymore. We're not battling the tribe across the river. We're not exercising because we're afraid someone's coming across the river and taking our women and children and defending them. Now, maybe we might need to defend our home, but get a gun or something. I mean, come on. Are you really... And I'm not pro-gun. I mean, I'm not against guns or for them, but if you're training to fight, to kill, then join the army or go in the ring. And that's fine. Good. But let's think about what we're going to have, and maybe we don't care. Society will decide what we end up with. In 2105, we may have We may still have MMA, kickboxing, and boxing, and wrestling, jiu-jitsu, whatever, and then nothing else. But hopefully we can drag the performance along with us. But that's going to rely on us, the martial artists, to continue to move in that direction, to start understanding how we apply more performance-related things within the human body for health, for fitness, for general life things that we can do better. Character development. Yeah, all that makes us better people. Are we going to give that up? I don't know. That's not on my shoulders. It's on the youth, the generation, the ones that hopefully are listening to this, are coming up, and the people that are teaching it to the youth that are listening to this. And let's de-emphasize a little the war part of it, because we're not taking that with us. There will always be fighting, wrestling, boxing, kicking as a sport, but we're not doing that as a neighborhood. My neighborhood isn't at war with the neighborhood next to me. I don't worry about them running across the lines and raiding our houses. That's not happening. Now, there's areas in the country where that happens. There's certain neighborhoods, certain cities where there's gang wars. This happens, but they're not kicking and punching. They're stabbing and gouging and shooting. Why waste your time? If you're going to be an effective killer, learn to shoot. Carry a concealed weapon. You know, if you're really worried about getting jumped in the street, don't waste your time with this other, because it may not work. But a gun will work, you know, but that's scary. I mean, I don't like the idea of that. That bothers me. But I practice martial arts today with the benefit of, if I have to defend myself, I'm probably more capable than most. But I don't do it because that's what I'm expecting to happen. I'm expecting it. That's the way I have to say it. I'm not practicing martial arts because I'm expecting to fight. I'm doing it for the other reasons.
Again, you're here with the University of Karate, and for those that clicked on our title, The Death of Martial Arts, maybe you didn't think you'd get a philosophical viewpoint or something that may cause you to think. But as Sensei Biddle said, the young people today, and even the teachers that are teaching young people today, you are making preparation for the future. As the commercialization and sportification of martial arts becomes more and more, what will there be in the future? Is character development and health and the longevity of those that are practicing a part of this training program that you're putting forth? Where will people be if all they think about is blood and mayhem and MMA and killing people, as opposed to the development of mind and body? Do we see martial arts from a wartime art all the way down to nothing historically repeating itself? And where are we in this process? Where are you and I in this process? You're with the University of Karate, and again, we're continuing to study the history, the principle, the philosophy, the historical context in which we understand the martial arts. Please subscribe and like videos like this, channels like this, that you can be a part of every video that we put out. And please continue this conversation down in the comments. Again, we thank you for joining us, and we'll see you again at the University of Karate.